Minutes from the meeting of,
And yes, I forgot a word.
the
I didn't-
22nd.
Where did,
You didn't catch
I didn't catch it, sorry.
God,
Where?
that you made a motion to approve the minutes. And I forgot a word. That's okay.
Oh,
All right. Well, little typo. Make a motion to approve the minutes from November, yeah, February 22nd.
I second.
Any discussion?
Yeah, I'm gonna have to abstain because I wasn't
All
here.
right. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
How come we have all these people up there and we don't see any of them down here? They all are, got their videos off.
Informal.
Can we back up here a second?
there they are now.
I'm just reading this, Jackson Alberti Foresight thing. Is the missing word trees? Because it says under there, the proposal is to remove 61 trees.
Yeah, probably.
Which document are you referring to, John?
A minute.
5 minutes. Minutes need some help.
Oh, yeah, I think it is.
Well, the previous sentence says he
Yeah, no,
identifies,
I got it.
yeah, I think.
Okay. All right,
We still good?
yes.
Informal. Jeff Minkler. Gee, what are you doing on Old Tree Farm Road?
Well, I think you may have heard. We'd actually like to build on the 1B plot that's there. And I guess we're requesting a site visit from what I understand.
I can honestly say I've been by it 4 times today already. Six.
Awesome.
He's high and dry. It's right on the corner of Old Tree Farm Road and 183.
Okay.
So not jurisdictional.
No, not even close.
Okay.
Chop away.
Thank you so much, folks. We'll see you soon.
That was quick.
Thank you.
You're just lucky.
Just the sheepdog inspection. Thanks, folks.
Yeah, Jeff,
Okay, Gary.
Gary, you're up.
you can bring a chair with you if you want to.
At the SBSC, we were discussing lake management, and one of the items that came up was drawdown. And we just like to put it on the table to see if there would be any hope of doing one in the future. Just a small one, 2 foot, something like we did, before. The downsides are not too many. I mean, it's inexpensive, zero cost. The highway department could do it, or I can do it. We would just like to have the lake down to expose the shore for a couple of months, let things freeze. Because I've been noticing the weeds are creeping back up and, towards the shore, so.
DEP has been frowning on drawdowns.
Who is?
DEP,
Department of Environmental Protection.
Okay.
because it apparently they've been noticing effects on mussels and other.
There's a lot of creatures that live in
Critters.
that 2 foot of water that's gonna disappear.
Well,
And basically, we haven't had a winter that will kill the weeds.
true.
So the only thing you're gonna kill is the frogs, the
Mussels.
mussels.
Mussels are really a
We
problem.
went, at least I did, and this was a few years back, that they did a study on the mussel populations in the lake, and Stockbridge Bowl was actually in this study. And it kills off anything that's exposed to the elements, basically not underwater. And some native mussels can get pretty good size. I've seen them. So what they find is you find 1-year-old mussels. And they're filter feeders. So they keep the clarity of the water probably better than any other purpose, any other means we have. And every year they repopulate and every year they get killed off again.
Okay.
So what they recommended from this, it was Berkshire Lake and Pond Management meeting or something such, I've forgotten, no, it was 3-4 years ago. Is even when they draw down, and unless you can guarantee that the weeds are killed, then you can't do that because you got weather to deal with. The only harm you're doing is to the population that lives in that first 2 feet or 4 feet or whatever amount of water it is. As for the weed population, and this has got some correlation between herbicides, but I won't go and get into that. Is if you kill something off, something's gonna repopulate that area. We all know that. So what you're doing is killing the perennial plants off and you're getting the annuals that pop back up and grow faster. Annuals are a weed. If you killed your front lawn and walked away from it, something would grow there.
Oh, yeah.
It's not gonna be pretty, but something's gonna grow there and it's gonna grow fast.
So basically what I'm hearing is drawdown's not on the table.
No,
Okay, that's all we needed to find out.
all right. If
Okay.
you can come up with a study that says this is gonna improve the water quality
No,
and
don't know of any.
come up with a couple other positives, we'll discuss it again, but
I can't see anything more positive or more negative than killing the,
Mussels.
critters that are in the water. So.
They've been finding that there's been a significant
Okay.
difference in the lakes that have done that because of
Well,
because the filter feeders aren't
Yeah,
doing what they're supposed to be doing.
hopefully we'll have some other ways to get rid of the weeds. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Gary.
Artificial intelligence.
There you go.
okay. Bernard Hahn, continued. Wallenkamp, did you get anything from him yet?
Nope.
Continued.
God, Mark Polk is going to be all over the pond thing, but apparently he has not managed. to
They
get
probably
them
haven't
on the
replied to him.
Bandwagon either.
No, the 3 Ice Glen Road.
We could do site visit now.
Yeah,
Right here. Hello.
there's no snow at the moment, I'm guessing.
Josh, why don't you get a chair? I understand that.
You're so tall.
I'd be happy to meet with you on site, but, unfortunately, I'll be out of town, Thursday and Friday and Monday and Tuesday. But anytime past Tuesday next week, I'd be happy to meet with you on site. I'm also available tomorrow if by chance you're.
Supposed to see.
We can't really.
It is?
Oh, yeah, it is possible.
Couple inches, but then it's gonna melt off the next
We
day.
can't really do a site visit now without or posting it.
Understood,
So tomorrow, unless there were only 2 of us, we can't really do.
understood.
So next week sometime,
Yeah,
Wednesday, Thursday, Friday?
Wednesday, Thursday, or Friday, I'm available. And if that doesn't work for you, available early next week after.
I can do it.
I can do Thursday or Friday.
Thursday, St. Patrick's Day.
Oh dear.
It's a holiday for some.
I'll wear,
We'll do it early in the morning then.
Jackson will bring it.
Why don't you go to site visit first?
Get green beer. All right, so
Thursday sounding
next week
possible?
Good.
is the 17th. I can do Thursday. What time?
11?
11 a.m.
God, it's becoming more civilized every day.
I can do it earlier.
later's better, but I'll try to leave for an hour at 11.
What's the date of Thursday?
The 17th is
17th, St. Patrick's Day.
St. Patrick's Day. We've already discussed this.
Dog has to go to the vet.
Got time? All right, so that's set for Thursday, the 17th at 11 a.m.
Perfect. Thank you all.
If it snows hard between then and stays, we'll
Reschedule.
reschedule.
Sounds good.
So it's snowing and melting, so,
Seems to be the pattern this year.
yeah. Next up, Pincus, 8 Hawthorne Road.
That's,
We got a contract from White.
I got a copy of it somewhere.
Oh, saying that they would review.
So that's news to us.
Just got it,
We just got it.
That's great. So White engineered Brent?
yes.
Okay. So if you want to read that, Elizabeth?
I wouldn't mind,
Coming.
The,
before everybody starts talking.
All right,
It just says that they would do the review, basically. Okay.
I think, sounds reasonable to me. Let me
okay,
just,
good, well,
I don't think my client will have any objection, but you can just wait a sec. He's on
all right,
there and,
He's on, right?
the contract, and if he says that's fine, then we don't have to wait.
okay. We'll get it in the works as quick as we can.
We have this to sign if it's, I forget who has to sign it. Sign it.
I
I don't have all that.
think this would have to be your signature.
But the
Process.
applicant would need to approve.
I think you just need like an email from my client saying, I don't think we signed at least that's not my recollection.
I'd be interested in knowing if we could
It's
get
either-
a document of some sort authorizing somebody to be the agent for the property owner.
It's in the notice when they fill out the notice of intent, the signature of the applicant is also included, so they have to approve,
The applicant being the homeowner.
yes.
Okay.
They have the landowner has to approve, has to sign the notice of intent when they file it.
Correct.
So I'm not actually 100% sure who has to sign this.
I believe, in my recollection and experience, I believe it's the commission that has
Commission,
to sign
because
that.
it only has one name, so that must be you.
Because it's the commission that's retaining
Right.
their services, and then our client would just agree to pay for it, basically. At least that's my recollection of the process.
Yeah, and our only right of objection is if we felt that the credentials of the consultant were not
Correct.
appropriate or that they didn't have. So my client asked, do you want to hear from him on this? Do you want to hear that he says yes, or do you want just me to represent that he's accepting it, or?
We would love it if he said yes.
There he is.
there.
If you want to.
I'm in favor of the review, so please go ahead.
Okay, thank you.
That was easy.
Yes.
We have some revised plans that we submitted today, so I doubt you have had a chance to look at them yet. I've got some hard copies just for the commission's records here, and I'd be happy to review our revised site plan with you tonight, and what we have, the work we've completed since the previous hearing. It sounds to me like there would be any.
I took a photo of it, so I don't need to. Thank you very much.
So essentially, we heard the commission's concerns at the last hearing with the tree removal on the site. So we went through quite a bit of work to ensure that we could add more plantings to the site to further mitigate the removal of trees on the site per the commission's concerns. So we spent some time confirming the depth of soil on site in certain areas to ensure that these plantings would have a chance to survive. And as you can see here, we have greatly expanded our proposed planting schedule. In total, all of these green dots you see here are proposed tree and shrub plantings. In total, we have 78 proposed tree plantings shown here, as well as 15 native shrub plantings. The vast majority of the tree plantings will be located within the 100-foot buffer zone closest to the lake on this side. Some trees will be planted over here, and we have a row of native shrubs along the base of this wall here. In addition to that, we have also proposed this area of 1,300 square feet here to be vegetated with native ferns, common lady fern and Christmas fern that we believe will help any stormwater that does make its way down this slope will be more absorbed by that area. Currently, there's not really any existing ground cover on site. It's basically a mature forest with some shrubs and very little ground cover vegetation. So we believe that'll be a significant improvement upon that area.
When was that?
And these are what variety of trees?
What we have proposed are white pine, balsam fir, black birch, sugar maple, and red maple. We have quantities for all of those within this table included, as well as the shrub plantings and herbaceous fern plantings.
So I'm sorry if I didn't hear it.
It's right in that corner, huh?
Is there,
No, but how deep?
is there any
Well,
It depends greatly on where you are on site. From where the house is proposed forward, there is at least a foot to 2 feet of soil in most places. There's a few areas of exposed ledge where it is not that. As you get further up the site here, it very much thins out, and there is not much soil to speak of. Hence why we haven't proposed any plantings up in this area.
Do you think that site excavated or blasted or put that in there?
It's,
Is there a cellar in it now?
I believe there is, yeah.
Is there any sign of ledge in the cellar or anything?
I have not been inside, so I couldn't tell you.
My client's on the phone, if we want to ask him that question,
All right.
or on the Zoom. Daniel, they're asking whether there was any, if you had a basement in the existing house, and do you know, have you ever been in it?
It's right here. That's a good question. I have not been inside that house. Frankly, I'm afraid to walk inside that house.
That's right, we thought it was very dangerous.
We saw the deck, so we know why.
And I mean that sincerely. I don't even have the key. I don't want to go inside that house. I have no assurance that it's structurally sound. So I assume there is no basement, but I can't confirm that.
So I'm concerned about 1 foot of soil. I mean, I know I didn't look up before I came. Do any of these have a taproot? I don't know
Well, they
offhand.
won't
But
until they get them planted. And
No, I think what will be required for these plantings to survive is a constant oversight, basically. They would have to retain somebody to
Is that for this?
irrigate and maintain these plantings until they're able to
they're gonna have to
establish.
staked for a while.
They're gonna have to be staked, so it'll be, a process to get them established on site. But we believe there is the soil to do so.
And below the soil is just all
There
ledge,
is,
stone.
I was able to find, I didn't dig a ton of test pits because of the frozen ground. But we were finding a little bit of gravel and loose stone, but basically soil on top of ledge there. So
Yeah,
there's
I can't imagine why there'd be gravel up there unless they put it.
yeah, it's basically
But
ledge across the hillside.
I asked that question of both Jackson and Mark as well. I said, I don't want to come to the commission with saying, look, here's what we're planning. They're all going to die, I said, you guys will know. I think your commission will know whether these trees are suitable. And Mark also personally looked at this plan and looked at the species. So they're shade growing species. And they're not large, right? We're not planting 6-foot trees.
Right, but they're going to grow.
Exactly. But when they grow, then they can crack into the ledge and survive.
Yep, what we have proposed on the slope down to the lake here basically is 3 to 4 foot trees. And then the ones we have proposed up here in this area specifically where we think there's a better pocket of soil are 4 to 6 foot trees. So we do have a variation of height in trees there. And we proposed taller trees where we think they will survive.
And then ferns.
Correct. And
So-
then ferns in this 1,300 square feet area here that we think will help fill in the ground cover, which is very much lacking at the moment.
We walked out there and there wasn't much growing. I mean, it was winter, obviously, but it didn't look like there was a lot. And so the ferns
Yeah, they're very shade tolerant ferns.
survive though also and have a good root structure.
Yes.
So, I mean, the purpose of this intensive planting was to say that we listened to you last time and you all said that you had a concern with the number of trees that had to be cut on this forested site. And so they made a very concerted effort to meet your 1-to-1 requirement and exceed it. So we really don't think there's any additional planting that could be done on this site.
No, I appreciate.
And it was a lot of work. He went out and tested the soil and then designed again and.
My concern is how well they'll survive in a foot.
Well, there's a condition, I mean, right, you normally put a.
The landscaper will guarantee it for a year.
Yeah, and we have to meet your standard. It's, Mark was telling me it's usually 75% survival over 3 year or whatever your conditions are. So,
That's right.
you know, we have to by the plan.
Right, I get that, and again, I appreciate the work. My concern, I'm not saying I'm opposed to it, my concern is with that little amount of soil, okay, so 50% die, you replant, 50% are gonna probably die again too. It's not replacing the trees that are really there.
Well,
But I'm not saying I'm opposed, I'm
Okay.
just saying I'm concerned about how well they'll do in that little bit of soil.
So I have a question. These trees, however many that you're gonna take down, you're obviously gonna, well, not obviously, but are you going to stump these trees, uproot them, grind them? What are you gonna do with them?
I think it'll be a mix of a combination of both. Obviously, in the areas where there's going to be house, septic system, things like that will have to be completely removed. And then I think in areas where it would be fine to leave the stumps, that would probably be the way they would go to reduce the ground disturbance. But generally, we have only proposed to take down trees in areas that there's going to be significant ground disturbance. So those stumps will have to be removed.
yeah, for example, the trees that are now growing in what will be the filtration area. Right,
Yeah.
that they're gonna have to, look at the construction area. And this site is small, so a lot of it is.
So can we condition that when we do the pre-construction site visit, that you indicate which trees are being removed with stumps?
Completely in which, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I think there is going to be only a few that would just be a stump to remain, like maybe these few around the house. But basically, everything we propose to take down is within the septic system, within the infiltration system, or the house.
But we hear
But we
you
can
and
definitely do that.
acknowledge that that's a good plan, that if the stumps can be left, let's leave the.
Even if you just ground them off level with the ground.
I know that,
Rather than
I know
a
that.
big
yes.
excavation hole.
And it just helps with the soil and you're not digging as much out and, yeah.
So I think anything that could be left would be.
So will you be providing us, I hope, with a sequence of work actually giving us a date as to when all this stuff is gonna start? And
Well, under the LOPD,
I don't care about the LLPD. I care about our being aware of what's going on the site.
yes, it's a common condition that we give notice before work begins.
And we would want to see it and see all the erosion controls.
Yeah, if you'd like to
That's-
include that as a condition, that's
a-
perfectly fine.
That's a
Thank you.
common requirement.
Yep,
That
that's
I'm
perfectly
familiar
fine.
with, you're familiar with.
Yep.
Notifying the commission before you
Yeah.
go on.
Yeah, and we wanted to be upfront about all these plantings and say that they will have to be staked and looked after for a considerable amount of time, which will be an expense that the applicant will have to undertake. And, there'll have to be a great amount of care put into them to make sure that at least, whatever 75% of them survive over a long period of
3
time.
years, for 3 years.
Yeah. that's
Correct.
right.
That is the standard minimum under the Wetlands Protection Act.
Has the planning board looked at this, reviewed this?
No, I think the site visit for the planning board is maybe going to be Monday.
Yeah, it's
I think Mark is.
scheduled soon, but they have not
yeah.
had their first
And I
hearing.
believe that we had to continue the first planning board hearing because Mark was out. So
Yeah, I
I
believe that
think
was
we're
the
going to have a
case.
site visit on Monday and a hearing on Monday. That's my recollection.
So that will
And Tri-Town's okay, the septic?
Yep, they have issued an approval on the septic.
Tuesday, yeah.
Do we have a copy of that?
They issued the approval on the plan, they haven't issued the permit, so once that permit's issued, we'll absolutely get that to you and the planning board.
Thank you.
But we were told that the plans were accepted and
Yep,
so on.
these have been approved, they are basically just waiting for the installer information before the permit is issued.
So how will we monitor the success of these plants? I would like, and when do you think the plantings will happen?
It depends on when this work takes place, but I would probably want to find it at the very beginning of the growing season and try to give them.
So
as
it
much time
probably
as
won't be
possible.
in 2022, obviously.
I would
Dead
want
center.
a,
Oh,
there's a
Picture of the eagle.
bald eagle right on this
Actually,
property.
the two bald eagles, but you can only pick it.
Beautiful. Where is that?
Oh, where's that?
right near,
Near this?
About 100 feet from where.
North
Which
Shore?
way? Which way?
It's almost, it's closer to where the canoes and stuff are.
Oh, down that way. I see. That's beautiful.
Yeah.
so this is, this is why we,
Well, we are doing everything you asked, whatever you.
Let Daniel see the-
eagles on these. See the picture of the eagle?
So
Got better eyes than I do.
I would want a monitoring report a year after the planting, so we know, and
Yeah.
maybe even a site visit.
Well, yeah, that's typical. You, with one of your board members, usually, you don't have to have the whole board, but somebody usually comes. and
But
checks
I
it
want
out.
it, to make sure it happens.
All right, what
If
are you saying?
everything
That
just,
we see it a year after the plantings, so we can really see how.
We can always go and see it.
Yeah, but,
She
I
wants
want it
us to notify
yeah, I want it official.
that it's available for.
At any points, we'd like to be notified throughout the process, say like pre-construction,
Oh,
post
absolutely.
erosion controls, post this work and then post the plantings. So we could notify you at any of those.
My guess is there's demolition first. So
Yes,
you get the machinery in there to do the removals.
I believe so. That would be.
And we're gonna, I think, don't they have to get some grabber thing to get aren't we getting those big tree trunk things out?
Correct, there's a couple.
Yeah, well, that's all part of, I'm sure when they start taking
They're doing everything.
down the logs and everything are gonna all go.
Yep, yeah, there's quite a bit of wood debris in this area that we've proposed to remove.
And so you'll notify us when that's about to start.
Yes,
How
whichever.
much notice do you want? A week, 2 weeks, 5 days?
I want to see the erosion controls.
I think a week is fine.
Yeah, 7 days should be plenty.
Okay.
and
Whenever,
wait a minute,
Someone-
7 days before the demolition?
No. Demolition doesn't have anything to do with us. We're working about the,
Well,
once the demolition starts and is over with, then they're gonna go in and start removing trees, and some point right in there,
right.
I think we should go take a look.
So you want a site visit to review the erosion control?
Yeah,
And that we're gonna have to wait 7 days, once we install the erosion control to allow you to have, you want 7 days notice, then we install the erosion control,
yeah,
give you notice.
say a week from this Friday, you're gonna have the erosion control down. Then we'd go sometime between,
Yep, so we'll give you 7 day notice before we do the next thing.
yeah.
Site visit, 7 days.
We don't
notice.
expect instantaneous.
Yeah,
So is there a start date for this project?
not that I'm aware of currently, depending on when it can get through the notice of intent process and the LPOD process.
Can we be advised of that?
Yeah, if you'd like to include any condition in the order of conditions on when you'd like to be notified throughout the entire construction process, you can
Yeah.
include as many of those as you'd like. We'd be happy to notify you.
And the reason I bring that to the table is that there are some projects that came to us like this 3 years ago that all of a sudden started like last spring.
Yep,
And, out of sight, out of mind kind of thing. I happen to wander around, look around and see what's going on. And some of those projects are not being built the way they said they were going to be built. So
That's not gonna happen here. Do you want notice then at so-called start of demolition? What notice period, I'm trying
I
to,
mean, the demolition, I just want the stuff out of town. But I mean, it's like.
we've already said you want a site visit
If
once.
we see the erosion controls
Yes.
prior to the demolition.
Right.
I'm good with it.
Okay, so a site, that's the same thing we already have. Site visit, 7-day notice, once the erosion controls are in, before work is started on the site. We install the erosion controls, we give the notice, then work can commence within 7 days.
I'm okay with that.
And
I'm good.
any deviation from the plans,
Absolutely.
you want to be notified.
Well, that's,
That's a
I
standard.
know,
Well,
but you'd
because if
be
you hit a
surprised
snag-
how often
Supposed to be standard, but it's not always.
it does not happen.
And something is forthcoming but isn't here yet. We would like to have eventually, after we get to the fourth to last item on our agenda tonight, which is performance standards, we would like to have a contractor signature on this so that the contractor is aware of what we've approved.
so you want a requirement that the owner provide the permit conditions to his contractor, that we get an acceptance or acknowledgement of receipt of the conditions and return that signature page to you.
Correct.
Yep.
Thank you.
Sounds reasonable.
Yeah, page initially.
Contractor says, oh, at first I heard of this.
And I can't tell you how often I have heard that too. I'm like hired for the enforcement order and I'm like, really?
I send it to them in all caps in the email.
So I'm all in favor of,
Distribute to everyone on your team and things like that, but.
yeah.
Well, we
They can just
see
initial
the other end when it comes, when they get out there to look at it and they go, and it looks nothing like what we saw on the
Madam,
plans. They say,
I missed your name.
the contractor didn't know. And we're like,
Yep.
I missed.
Oh, I'm sorry. My name is Elizabeth Goodman and I'm an
Elizabeth,
attorney.
I'm John Hart.
Yes,
And
I know.
also, in addition to the contractor signing off on it, it'd be nice if he initialed each page as he went through it.
Of
Sure.
the order of conditions.
Your order will, but I'm making notes too.
Do you have
I'm okay.
questions I can answer about it?
So you are going to have Brent White prepare comments, and will you guys assure that he will provide them to us
yes,
Yes.
before your meeting? And when is your next meeting?
22nd.
And he can do this by then, do we think?
I don't know. I don't think he's on.
He can do it. So the
You're going to keep it, okay.
calendar, so I'm sorry, the 26th.
He's not on right now. I don't know whether he's planning to or not. It doesn't have a.
Probably try, but I think
So-
he'll need us to get this information to him. And
Yeah,
some
that's
time.
why we can just, is it okay, we can contact him with the info while you're still doing this,
Yes,
right? I mean, we've
yes.
all agreed, okay. So on the 22nd is your next meeting at 7?
Yeah, and he'd probably like to see, I sent him the digital copy, but he'd probably like to have some life-size copy.
Be happy
March
to provide
22nd,
him with
7 PM. I'm in there. I am gonna. Yep, it's a Tuesday. Okay, that's in there. Do you, of the board, have any other questions for us?
I
Okay.
believe so.
Thank you all for your time.
Okay, I'm just gonna check with my client. Is there any other questions, Mr. Pinkett? Daniel?
I'm fine. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Jackson, are you doing Baum?
I am. I have
Okay.
those certificates of compliance. To
All right.
Yeah, if you'd like me to do that now, I can.
Can we just run quickly through the White Pines? So I heard from Ken Boudreau from White Pines, and we still are unclear what the 2960075 is. But the 2960071, we have,
And we can sign.
and they said we should go ahead and
Right in here. Good sneeze.
consider that
No, he's over. At least it's sort of like.
and get that over with. So we need to make a decision on that. That was
Brook Crossing
the Brook crossing,
Forest,
yeah,
and sewer,
yeah.
White Pines.
which is how many years old?
Oh, well, it was 1986 or something. I forget now what it was.
There should be a,
I'd not write it down.
There should be a $50 a year fine for every.
There should be.
3 years.
That's yours.
1986, yeah. So we're still unclear as to what the 0075 is, but the 0071 is the brook crossing and the sewer. So, I mean, we have to just, or not.
I'll make a motion that we approve certificate of compliance for White Pines Brook Crossing and sewer
Yeah.
crossing.
Okay.
Septic line.
Second.
All right,
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Any discussion?
Okay. All right, that's good. So we're still going to have to try and figure out what this 0075 is, because we don't know. At least
Happens
get
when
the
you-
71 taken.
well, how can we approve it if we don't know what it is?
We're not going
We're not
to.
gonna approve that one. We have two, John.
We have the 0071, which we know is the brook crossing
Yeah, I see.
sewer. We have the plans for the original
All
plans for
right, I
that.
see that.
And, but the 0075, I have no idea what that is. So, we can't really move on that.
I feel better.
Okay.
And it's, and somebody's chicken scratching.
Oh, that's
Oh,
very official.
And this was,
Is that for the one we just approved? Or is that the one we don't
we
know?
approved the 0070.
Yeah,
And
with the chicken scratch.
that's all gone, and done, and they have it, but this one was originally submitted by Solis. I don't know if you remember that they, weren't getting paid for it, so they were kind of miffed. And,
I would be too.
there was a fair amount of discussion about this as regards to not getting paid for it, so, anyway, we're good. We can sign that time.
All right, White Pines, White Pines. 2 Christian Hill Road,
Yes.
pool fencing, pool house.
Mike isn't here.
Is anyone here for 2 Christian Hill?
I have a question.
Mike isn't here.
I lived on Christian Hill once upon a time, and I don't recall where 2 Christian Hill is.
I can't help you.
First one on the right.
First one on the right's overhanging, like,
Yeah, it's gotta be with that bar.
Oh, yeah, the one they just, the old fellow passed away and they've redone the whole thing. It's right by the railroad tracks there.
no,
No?
you go across Route 183 and then, up the hill, that's Christian Hill.
Yeah.
And if memory's,
Oh, okay. I'm not-
number 2,
Side of the road, yeah,
number
okay.
2 is like on the right-hand side up there overlooking, McCormick's, Beth McCormick's place and
Yeah.
stuff like that. I mean, it's a drop off. I mean, I can't figure out where they're gonna put the pool, the fencing or the pool house.
Well, we'll have to have a
That's
site
why we
visit.
have to have
Yeah,
a representative from Berkshire Engineering here to talk to us about it, so we need to
This will be
continue.
continued. We'll make a motion to continue this.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second it.
All right, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All right,
Okay,
now, Baum.
the Ice Glen Road.
Yeah, so this is another one from 1990 and 1991, and I spoke to Tiffany Baum, who is the daughter of Robert Baum, who was the original applicant.
You remember this one well, right?
Of course. I was alive.
I was gonna question that.
Actually, Rob Hoogs was the one who did it, and he's still alive. So anyway. So there were 2 separate filings for these 2 projects, which were basically for the same thing to some degree. And the first round, they tried to repair the septic system using gravel and stuff. And I gathered from her that that was not successful. And so the second filing, which was a year later, was to put in a new septic and fix what was wrong.
I have a little memory.
I don't.
That's because you were around forever.
I'd be happy
A
to
couple
hear.
of those meetings. And they were having trouble getting location for a septic system.
Yep.
And they finally found, and I could be corrected, okay? Well, this is just it just hit me, you know, and started in. That the best place for it was in the gravel driveway.
Right.
So it is in, I think it got put in right in the gravel driveway. Is that what you're
Yeah,
getting at?
pretty good recollection. They,
Thinks that there are
Well,
two,
it was the first time we've ever seen a septic system
Under a driveway.
smack dab in the middle of the driveway.
oh, she thinks,
It was
she
the
said she
top.
thinks that there are two septic systems
There
on
is.
this site.
there is indeed. So we dug up these old plans from 1990. This is the DEP file number. Oh,
I
yeah.
just have one more little
Yeah.
second of your time. Is that, how does that sit with you, just in a driveway?
I've seen it done plenty of times now.
Have you? That's what I've asked.
Even paved driveways now they'll do, with some very special design typically.
There were no things that said no paving or anything like that, come to think of it. I mean,
Yep.
it's-
We have surprisingly good
Yep, we got the plans.
file for this. I mean, it has everything. It has the notice of intent, it has the
Oh.
plans, it has everything. So this was, the original one for the 105
Yep.
was done by Accord.
This was done by Accord, as you said, this repair of this original septic system, for which they had to do a significant amount of grading on this wall, the slope here. They also added this drainage.
This is interesting for us, the regrading, and what happened is they filled the wetland,
Correct.
and then we made them pull it out.
Yep.
And the question was, what are you gonna do about replacing the plants? In this particular case, he said, do nothing, let's just let it fill in by itself, and you owe us a report at the end of 2 or 3 years of what had happened. That's
Sure,
the,
that didn't happen.
So
that's,
32 years.
that I got,
Right.
I know I'm right on that.
Yep.
We did it
Well,
as a
they came
study.
back 32 years later.
No, we did it in,
Yeah,
you could just take a look at what's there now, you know, if you,
So what's
that's
filled in?
exactly what we did.
verbal report or whatever you want.
No, that's exactly what we did. So we dug out these old plans from 1990. As you can see here, this area, from this profile, you can see wetlands filled on this. And so what they proposed was to cut the slope back with all this grading here and replicate, just restore that wetland, like you said, by doing nothing essentially, and letting it just fill in naturally, which we believe it has. As best as we can tell, 32 years later.
Still a wetland?
Oh yeah, still a BBW. So we checked on this and it seems, to the best of our knowledge, that all of this was completed the way it was supposed to be. This drainage outlet is here. The slope appears to be the way it was designed and lines up relatively well with the 1991 plan from the other certificate of compliance, which I can go over in a minute. So that's pretty much that entire project. And
So what grew in? So
what grew in is unfortunately mostly Phragmites is what's there currently. But there are some native wetland species in there. So then in 1991, I just figured I would show you both at the same time because they are kind of related. So this is the 1991 plan, a separate DEP file number. But it kind of takes place in the same area. You can see the same house here. This septic system was removed. As you said, it was located right here underneath the gravel driveway.
They're connected also because the stuff you took out was where they were gonna put the system.
Correct, yep. So they basically pushed the driveway a little bit further this direction and put this, remove that gravel driveway and put the septic system in what is now just lawn in this area. I was fortunate they had just done a septic tank cleaning, I believe, while I was there. So I got to see exactly where each of these septic tanks was, and it lined up perfectly with this plan. The other septic system, this septic system here, this is the house. And this septic system located way over here on this, adjacent to this way, feeds this, service. So
It's bizarre.
yep, that was the construction of two septic systems, partially within the buffer zone, a little bit of grading work. The one discrepancy that we noticed from these plans is that there's a existing concrete block wall that was constructed at the bottom of this toe of the slope. It's maybe a foot to 18 inches high, and is kind of embedded in the slope. As you can see, that's not really the detail they had for the toe of slope here. But it is shown as existing in 1991, so we can only assume it was done as part of this. That concrete wall lines up very well with this BVW line as we overlay the plans. So to the best of our capabilities with these old plans and just trying to confirm things that are, far in the past, we believe that this concrete wall matches this edge of BVW generally. But it is difficult to confirm, exactly.
So it's been 30 years now. Is everything still working the way it's supposed to?
As far as I'm aware, this slope is completely stable. The septic systems are still in the same place and were, I guess, recently pumped. And the BVW area that was replicated appears to still be BVW, albeit not a particularly healthy one, but it is what I would qualify as BVW. So we believe this work was done generally in conformance with these plans and the conditions included in the order of conditions.
Now, let me clarify why we've come back to get this certificate of
They're
compliance.
selling
They are selling a lot.
In the process of
soon.
sales, doesn't someone have to confirm that the septic system is working?
Yeah, they do a Title V.
Yeah, I believe that's what was done. Really,
That's probably why it was,
Past, everything was,
I'd have to double check on. I don't have that information.
probably why it was
If all of these
dug.
things passed.
that's probably why it was dug and pumped is to.
Yeah, I believe they were doing some kind of Title V inspection, or I guess.
yeah, that, I realize the tank, but
The leach fields
See that
themselves.
before you-
that's, no, I don't want to see it.
But that they would determine whether it was functional during the Title V.
Yeah, they
inspection.
check, make sure the tank's doing what it's supposed to do.
So I don't have that documentation with me, but if it's
And they
something
could-
you'd like, I can.
They couldn't sell it if it isn't.
Yeah, correct. They would have an issue selling the lot if they couldn't get a passing Title V.
So we're gonna go with the assumption that everything passed.
Yeah.
Still
That's
works
the-
the way it was designed
That was my assumption.
30 years ago.
If there was an issue with them, I imagine they would, be dealing with that in the sale process. But
And
as far as
the
I know,
sale is coming up soon.
Very
like,
soon.
Really soon. Like, they were really hoping we would sign tonight if we thought we got appropriate information on it.
so we provided certificates of compliance, obviously, as well as a letter summarizing our observations on site, just so that the commission has that in writing. Yeah, I'd be happy to answer any questions you might have about the work. Some knowledge.
Can I just go one more point on the septic field in the driveway? Under the septic regulations, it's supposed to test in an undisturbed area, right?
Correct.
The driveway is never going to be undisturbed.
When they say undisturbed, they basically just mean an existing lawn area, something like that, that isn't already a structure or septic system. So basically, they just need soil as a reserve area. So if these cease to work, they have area right next to it that is suitable for a septic system.
They put them between the run.
That's how it's typically designed these days. That's why you see generally a gap between each trench. So if they do fail, they can just stick one in right next to it. So that's how these were designed.
That's what they did with ours.
Yep.
So a driveway construction does not qualify for disturbed.
No, I think as long as the soil beneath it still has absorption to it, they would qualify that as, reserve area. If it was like 2 feet of gravel or something like that, probably not. But they're just typically concerned with the infiltration rate. Yep.
Anyone else have any questions?
I guess my only question is, do we need to see it or can we just sign it?
There's not much you're gonna
Let's
see.
Yeah, and we've got letters from Foresight on both.
Yep.
And we have good plans, you know, if we had terrible plans and nothing to reference, that, in my opinion, a problem, but we're pretty good.
Luckily, this one was a little easier to confirm than the 3 Ice Glen. Everything seemed to be in order.
So we have 2 certificates of compliance to sign.
I'll make a motion that we approve that.
Which one?
Both of them.
Both of them?
Do we need to do it separately or together?
All right, we'll do it separately just to make sure.
You know,
So this is,
on here, I have
this
one,
is,
Here's the file numbers if y'all.
this is 105.
I have one question. And that is part of the septic system on the driveway. Say that, you know, whoever buys this piece of property wants to do something that's going to require a concrete truck drive over the septic system. I mean, I have a hard time driving over my own septic system with a lawn tractor because I'm just wondering what I'm doing to it,
Yep.
let alone a concrete truck on a driveway.
Yep.
You know, so what conditions are here?
Go ahead, John, I'm
I
sorry.
mean, what conditions are here that says, you know, that if that happens,
Yep.
you know, I'm befuddled.
Well, the way this one was designed, they moved the driveway, so the driveway is no longer on top of the constructed septic systems. They removed the one that was underneath the driveway.
So it's a whole new,
It's a whole new system.
Oh, I
This
missed
one was a replacement.
I
I
wasn't
missed it,
following,
sorry.
yeah.
No problem. But interestingly, now they make special trenches that are H20 rated, so they can withstand a pretty good load. And we've, done a number of those designs, but you have to have a special design if you're going to be driving over your septic system regularly.
Thank you, Jackson.
No problem.
That's the infiltration chambers.
Yep. Yeah.
Yeah, this.
Yep. Yeah. We designed one in West Stockbridge that was beneath someone's
We
driveway.
don't have anything to do with this, Doc.
It's much more difficult, but yeah, luckily this one, they just moved the driveway basically.
You need the new forms. They have
They have an updated form?
an updated form, where I don't have to print everybody's name.
Oh, wow. I guess I gotta get with it.
Annoying. This is confusing, Jackson. This one is being applied for as 3 Ice Glen. And the Pincus, no, not Pincus, sorry, the Wild is also 3 Ice
Oh,
Glen.
no, I'm sorry, this is 1 Ice Glen.
Okay, I think,
Which one's
but
one?
it's 3 Ice Glen according to the,
Yeah, 1 Ice Glen Road is, both of these projects are located at 1 Ice Glen Road. The Wild property, the 3 Ice Glen Road is the neighboring property. So yeah, if I included anything that said this was on 3 Ice Glen, that was just a typo, I guess.
that might have been what she told me. Actually.
All one property at one time?
I believe so, yeah, that may be.
Yeah,
what
I
she was
think
thinking.
that's the-
I think Robert E. Baum owned basically that whole street at one point on that side, and has divided we've done a number of, permits to divide the lots in the past for him.
Both of them there. Okay,
Well, thank you all for your time. I appreciate it.
good evening.
You as well.
Jackson's got a lot of work done today.
Yeah, this one only says Ice Glen, it does not give a number. Okay, so this is 1 Ice Glen.
It is 1 Ice Glen.
Alrighty. One says 1, one says 3. Okay, we're good. This is, yeah, I have the original letter.
Thank you all.
One
Have a good evening.
105.
Upcoming other business, dead trees, dead trees.
Yeah, dead trees. We got lots of dead trees. So we have Mr. Park is going to come before us at the next meeting. That is the 19 Interlaken Road, has dead trees. He's going to send us a drawing or some representation of the property with the trees marked so that we can go by and take a look.
It says 19 Interlaken Crossroad.
Right.
What,
I'm trying to figure out where that
Is
is.
there a wetland or something? related?
There's wetland. He says that where the trees are pretty high and dry, they want to put in a solar panel on the
Land.
house. And the trees that are between the house and the road, they've been given permission to remove by the tree warden. But there are these other 2 trees that he says one is dead, the other one is not healthy, that they want to remove. He's going to send us a representation of the property, and he's going to mark the trees, and he said we can walk on
So we can
anytime
go.
we want to go take a look at
so
it.
he'll mark them with a flag? He'll flag
Yeah,
'em?
he's going to tape them, I think. And so so he'll be on the Zoom meeting, the next meeting, to confirm that we've looked at it and make sure that it's okay. And Michael Clapper, we got a phone call from him saying that he's got dead trees on his property.
Which is where?
It's on the lake. It's the one that's,
Lake Drive, is that the one?
no, I don't think, no, not Lake Drive. It's just a few doors down from the boat club.
Well, okay, it's upcoming.
So we need to.
We're gonna get
We need to get some more
documents.
information from him.
Yeah, I'd like to see him.
And Jonathan Terrell, we got Tom Ingersoll was at our meeting last time. And we've gotten the RDA for this project and his new plans for it, and that we'll see that at the next meeting. And that's all I know about that.
All right. I have no information on the conservation agent.
I'd like to address some of this stuff. Rumor has it, and I underline it in bold, highlighted by yellow, that the select board is not in favor of us getting a conservation agent.
Really? Who's going to do this then?
Pardon me?
Who's going to do all the checkup and stuff?
I have no further knowledge other than the fact that it's not something that they're in favor of.
John, who's they?
Who is talking?
Patrick.
I'm just wondering who you're referring to.
I have just heard rumor that select board or members or a member is not in favor of a conservation agent being given to the Conservation Commission.
Okay. It's really important to remember that the select board makes all decisions in a public forum, just like every other town board. I brought up the conservation agent at the last select board meeting and asked that it be inserted in the budget, and nobody said anything to the contrary. So if somebody has an objection with it, they can speak out loud at a public meeting, the way we all can.
Okay.
Okay, good. Thank you.
Because I've not heard that, and I've had a couple conversations about it, so.
The only thing I've heard is Shep Evans says we can't afford him.
He hasn't even come.
I know, I'm just,
I'm not sure we want Jeff Evans either.
Yeah.
But he's going to give us some information.
Well, I don't know what the miscommunication was. He said no one ever called him. But have And I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know either. I'm just
But-
going by same thing what you hear.
So, but, I mean, has it been advertised? Is there actually anyone looking, Patrick?
I think we need to get to a much more formal state before we're talking about advertising. You know, what are we willing to pay?
And what are we looking for in the contract?
Because it would have to be hired by the town. So it would have to go through Michael.
Correct.
And he's asked, he goes to meetings, all town meetings, and he's inquired if anybody else is interested in sharing.
In the Mass Conservation Commission website and newsletter, they often advertise for stuff,
Yeah.
for towns all across Massachusetts.
Yeah, they do that
That's
with
a good place.
MAC, the MACC
Yeah.
does too.
Yeah, that's what I meant.
But every conversation I've had with Michael it just led me on farther. I assume I assume that the calls were made. Maybe they're playing phone tag. I didn't know.
I don't know.
He's asked, what is that? Patrick, what do all the towns, do they have a meeting that's,
And they have the managers meeting, which is basically an open forum for the 32 town administrators and managers. The first step with this is to just make sure that the budget for it gets approved, inserted into a budget that is approved by the voters. We really can't be advertising or, making offers of, to hire somebody until the voters approve a budget that includes the line item for this position. That's
Patrick, we never gotten that far even. We were just wanted to see what Shep does as a conservation agent. We wanted to have a discussion with, what are your responsibilities?
Right.
just invite him into the next meeting to talk about what he does.
God, we'll be here till 11 o'clock.
But still, then we know, we'll work on it again.
Maybe we can get in touch with MAC and see if they have a
Description?
description
Job
of what a
description.
conservation agent does and what would typically be paid to a
Seems to
conservation.
be the only way to go about it.
All right,
We're
I'll
not
get
getting
in touch with
anywhere
them.
Any other way.
With these new rules that you're putting in place, where people have to have live trees after 2 years, once 2 years goes by, you have 3 times the number of site visits as you currently have. The current 2 years plus the last 2 years. So if you don't have a conservation agent, I don't know how you're going to get all this work done, 1. And 2, I think the more you can educate the town about why this is an important role, the better off the chances of us getting it is. So.
I agree.
I would agree with that. Which brings us to performance standards.
Okay, so sent to the town, to the town email,
Are we on performance standards at this point?
yes.
I would like to, as they say, Esther, get off the pot with this one now, because this has been going on and on and on. And I think probably Lisa has done a meticulous job here. And it's time for us to say to this is not a draft, this is a document.
Well, it has to be approved.
Yeah,
I
we
agree.
have to.
It has to be
It has
It has
to
to
be
read.
approved, but I'm just saying, I'm pushing for it to be approved.
Okay, so I tried to highlight in yellow the changes that we approved at this meeting, and all I did was insert them in the document. Because, and I retyped everything because we didn't have a editable version.
Commended just for that.
I
Yeah.
should be commended just for that, thank you.
No, good job.
So,
And I sent you
and you sent me, but I actually didn't get a chance to look at them. Do you know what edits were if we look at them?
they were mostly typos, and there were a few. I have the document on my computer and it's supposed to tell you what I did.
Okay.
And it's supposed to be a markup one with comments. Because I went through it.
Was there anything, typos I'm not worried about, because I think if we give this back to the town, letting them know what the change, this is the last page is the changes and they can insert them into their original document. I didn't think they were going to use my document. They have the document. But was there anything big in your edits that we,
I don't remember. That was too long ago.
basically, I put in the sequence of work. I put in the tree protection, fencing. I changed minimize to not use for application of fertilizers containing nitrogen, phosphorus. And we changed 150 feet from the edge of the bank of BVW to be consistent with the LOPD and asked the LOPD be included in the.
So, one thing that I see that I'm just looking at right now, other than agricultural uses, what does that
What page?
mean? There isn't a page. So it's 2.3 performance standards in buffer zone. So it's number 3, under 2.3. Landowners shall not use applications of fertilizers containing nitrogen and phosphorus other than for agricultural use within 200 feet of the buffer zone.
I think, I'd have to look, but I think in the Wetlands Protection Act, there's a lot of exclusions for agriculture.
exemption, yeah. However, I seem to remember that there was some discussion on when we were looking at South Maid that has cattle in the river. The cattle go down into the river and do what cattle do in the river. Yeah, it might be, but not that end that we're worried about. So
But even if they fenced off the river and they went right down to the river bank,
it's running down into
it's
the
just
river.
going the same place.
Right. So the agricultural exemption thing is something that is of concern because of that if you're in the proximity, I mean, they're in the floodplain, these critters were I mean, I did the survey for the Housatonic in that area.
Yep.
And they're just walking right into the river. And, you know, if we're talking about trying to minimize the amount of fertilizer that gets into our waterways,
I think there's agricultural.
I understand,
Yeah.
but it's problematic to me.
Well,
And how do you determine whether you get this agricultural exemption?
My memory is if it's been in agricultural or forestry use within the past 5 years, they're exempt. Like you couldn't,
Forestry as well?
I think it's forestry also, but I could be wrong, but it's agriculture. So you couldn't start a new
Right.
project, but if it's been that way,
Like grandfather.
yeah, I think there's not much we can do.
so I have a question that does not apply to
think-
South Maid or the performance standards, and that is, we have an agricultural entity in the town of Stockbridge that is providing substantial amount of nitrogen to Stockbridge Bowl. Our hands are tied, there's nothing we can do,
Right.
regardless of the blooms of algae and everything else. That's good to know, because I was going to waste an awful lot of time on that one.
Yeah, no, the agricultural exemption is to my way of thinking antiquated.
You
And-
can, you can put up a greenhouse, you don't even need a building permit.
You don't?
Did you do that?
Long time ago.
It's, so the agricultural exemption is, like I said, to my way of thinking, is antiquated in terms of its use. Not that I'm not in favor of, I'm absolutely in favor of any agricultural use, but I think that rather than saying they can do whatever they want, the state and the agricultural people need to really look at what the effects of what they do I mean, they've got the whole deal with the hog farms out in the Midwest, which are just a nightmare.
But that's not going to affect this document.
No, but it, you know, I think,
I mean, I'm trying to get to the point where you put a signature on this thing.
I think that, yeah, but we can't rush into this, John, because this is going to be a forever document. And if we miss the boat here, we're missing the boat.
But the state is the state, and the agricultural exemptions,
I understand.
exemptions, they don't apply here.
The language of this, other than for agricultural uses, I think needs to be clarified. If only citing the Wetlands Protection Act there. Because I can say that my garden is agricultural use. You know what I'm saying?
Well, I would say we should pass it on and see if the lawyer can clarify.
Yeah. I think we
Because this all
need,
has to go,
Right, it has to go back. Yeah, it
and
has to go
then any
back.
changes comes back to us again.
No, we're done.
Well, if she says you can't do
If she says, she may say you can't. You're right.
2.3.1 or
Yeah.
whatever.
Back to us. But if she could clarify that.
I think it needs to be cited at least of what agricultural use is under the Wetlands Protection Act. That's just my
Yeah, no.
And we'll give her a little footnote on that. Anything else on here? I'd like to look at, it's been a little,
Yeah, I'll go look at what I'll look at what
And pass it on.
okay.
my markup.
Yeah, pass on your markup, because I think
I think I did.
Sure, you passed it on to the commission email.
Yeah, oh, I usually send it to everybody.
That's the only place I saw it.
Yeah, okay.
Because I'm sure there's some typos in there, but I'm
Yeah.
less concerned with that than just getting everything down.
So
So we're almost there.
at the risk of becoming an enemy of the state here, can I submit that on March 22nd, we sign off on this?
We
You
can't.
can't,
You have to
John.
get it back from the lawyer.
It has to go to the
Well,
lawyer.
fine. I mean, can we expedite this? Because it's been one of these things that's necessary, absolutely necessary. I would even suggest that it be put into an abbreviated brochure form and handed to every contractor and homeowner that walks into this town. But, I mean, we're beating this thing.
Unless we meet every week, we can't speed this up.
And we're close. We're close.
It's really close.
And it has to go to town council again
Yep.
at this point.
So basically, possibly, before the next meeting, it would already have gone to town council. That's certainly within the realms of
Yeah,
possibility.
I
And if
mean,
she
Jenny
just-
reviews things really quickly. I don't know if she's the one who's going to review it.
Yeah, these really are the only changes.
Yeah.
Yeah, so there's not a whole lot to.
No,
It's small in the grand scheme.
Yeah.
they look at things different than we do anyways, so. That's the way it's gotta go. John, I'd like to see it done this week too, but
Lisa, how would the review of that property, the big house that we talked about with the eagle,
Well, I think the tree
had this
addition,
been in place?
if this had been in place, then we would have in writing more buffer zone protection on, 3, number 4. We'd have all that in writing, and it talks about replacing with 2 to 1.
So
Trees that are removed.
61 trees would become 122?
Potentially, I mean, we're not going to see a lot of 61 trees. But, their original proposal was for 6 trees to be replaced. So they went from 6 to 78, which was,
and they're certainly not big trees.
yeah.
I mean, these are basically 2-gallon pots is what these things
Could
are.
be anything, they're not,
Yeah.
the size is not specified.
Yeah,
No, we didn't specify size,
But at least they're
at
replanted.
least they're replanted.
but because of the soil depth there,
And bushes.
that's the only thing you're gonna have a chance to survive is something in a smaller container like that, so
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
you can't dig a 2-foot hole and have rock under it,
I think that
18
anybody,
inches down.
anybody with a small lot, anyone in town, if they're gonna build a house and they need to clear for that and a septic field or whatever, there's no hope that you could do 2 to 1 on a tree replacement planting. I mean, there needs to be some understanding of that, I think.
Depends on how many they take down, you know?
And we were doing that 2 to 1 because this is big trees.
No,
I
I,
cut down a
I'm for it.
60-foot tree, you can't plant another 60-foot tree somewhere else.
Yeah.
And we can always go for less, but at least we have something saying
Well,
we can ask. for
We can
more.
reduce the size requirement on a tree, so you could get quite a few in a grove or something like that.
Yeah.
That would
I think we
try to get the
covered.
coverage that you want, Sally. The canopy.
Yeah, there's gonna be no canopy left.
Yeah, we didn't talk about the canopy. Might be something to look at. I know that there's language about canopy somewhere. See if I can find it.
Well, still.
And it gives us a
It's still
sequence of
not
work.
without its problems. I think
Oh, definitely.
And this- Yeah, the sequence.
This gives us a clear sequence of work too.
it's something to shoot for.
Hey, Ron,
Hello?
I think that one thing that the commission might do between now and the next meeting is to review page 12 of the general bylaws, which is what entitles you to create these performance standards, and just compare what the, enumerated sort of, things you might include versus what you did include. I don't know if anyone's looked at that lately, but it's basically bottom of page 12 and top of page 13.
In the bylaws?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay,
Thank you.
where are we? Are we moving on from performance standards at the moment?
Yeah. Did somebody go by 19 Lakeview? I didn't.
John,
19 Lakeview Drive. What were we looking for?
Just to see what's happening there.
19 Lakeview.
Oh, down,
The clear cut.
So that'd be by
I've been there a long
Anita's.
time. I mean, I've been there, but I haven't been there for a long time.
Kevin from Camp Mackinac was on earlier, but I don't know where he went.
there's
Sure what he wants.
equipment running down there. I was gonna drive by, but
Down at the camp.
I was too focused on trying to figure out how to get back to my house. when I drove
He
by.
might have actually been here as an abutter and having nothing to do with the camp.
No. So we do need to do a drive-by of the camp, just to make sure the erosion control stuff is still there.
I did a drive-by the other day when I missed a site visit.
I did do a walk. I walked and it was in place
All right. All right.
And that was,
We keep an eye on it.
a week and a half ago, I guess.
Mackinac Shores, updated dredging treatment of Stockbridge Bowl.
Lisa wanted me to add that.
I'm curious, my memory is we had talked about a meeting in April, a joint meeting. I didn't know if that was still
Yeah.
happening or.
We set a
We
date
have
for
a
that.
DEP meeting coming with Brian Harrington, don't we?
I've not heard,
Because you're supposed to be invited.
I have not been invited yet.
Well,
Do we know if dredging and treatment can happen in the same year?
no, they cannot.
They cannot.
That's for sure.
Positive.
Interesting. So, okay.
So they would,
So if dredging got passed, if they got the permits, the money, and everything could start, treatment would be backed out. And dredging would take a year to 2 years, probably 2 years. And I don't know what would happen to the treatment. It hasn't been clarified, but we do have the meeting with DEP with Brian Harrington coming up.
Then it's gonna be a Zoom meeting, I take it probably.
Probably.
Are people
And-
invited to this or not?
No.
But Ron is.
Ron and I and Michael Canales and Pat Canale and Roxanne, Patrick and Chucky,
Can we have our lawyer?
and probably.
They're gonna have their lawyer.
Not Sally?
Mm-mm.
Why?
I didn't do that. I had to fight hard to get there.
Somehow I'm not surprised I wasn't invited.
We need her to take notes.
Okay, so, and I do know that
Can I just ask a
Harv-
question? So is that in place of the joint meeting?
no.
No, that's separate. Okay, thank you.
And I do know that the harvesting plan is still intact, that the 3-year, so this will be the second year, but the harvester isn't working, doesn't have an engine. So that seems to be an issue.
This is the new harvester, the one that,
The new, yeah.
Well, they need to get on the ball
But
with that.
apparently there's insurance money, but I don't know who fixes it.
Well, they better do it soon because otherwise it's going to be too late. I
Right.
mean, it needs to be functional in a
Right.
couple months.
When does it usually start? April or May?
Patrick, do you know anything about that?
Patrick, you still with us?
Here, yes. First of all, I don't believe the rest of the select board is going to that meeting, Jamie, unless you heard something different than me.
Oh, that's what my understanding was.
I think it's just gonna be Roxanne.
Are you sure?
Not on my schedule. I could be wrong. I'm often wrong, as you know. You
No,
know,
that's not true, but I would double check on that.
and then the other thing is, Michael has, the replacement of the motor isn't actually that big a deal, I don't believe. And it's at some place that does big equipment, they're just looking for the kind of motor that they need. And they were checking with Aquarius Systems, who sold us that, to see if they could get us one.
Okay, so somebody's on it.
He's on it, yeah.
Good.
Thank you.
And they're feeling the time pinch.
I certainly reminded Michael of that, yes.
Okay, good job.
Get the water by June 1st, and with the additional silt, it's not even clear if the larger harvester can get through the outlet.
One pass in and then back out?
I mean, it's the cutting, because it's 12 foot, cutting edge versus I think the other one is either 8 or 10. It's harder to maneuver it, especially as it gets more filled in. The really old one we have has a larger cutting width and is much slower.
Yeah, we understand that. We do that. Any other business? Comments,
So-
discussions?
My email says Stockbridge Selectmen, so I would ask Patrick, please.
I'm happy to ask. It's just my understanding that it has to be a posted public meeting if a quorum of the board is there.
Do you have a date on that, Gene?
No date.
And why is that a problem?
Because it's not a public meeting. It's a negotiation between the parties.
That makes
would be-
sense.
That would be why.
Make a motion?
I make a motion, we adjourn.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.